Hey there, Alex Kidman here, and today I'm taking a look at this, the Pixel Watch 2. And look, it's safe to say that the excitement and anticipation surrounding the first Pixel Watch last year was quite high. While it was inevitably going to lean on Google's ownership of Fitbit, the prospect of Google creating the ideal Android smartwatch had a lot of appeal. And frankly, the smartwatch space has needed a hero Android watch for some time, something that can really compete fully with what Apple does with devices like its Apple Watch Series 9 or Apple Watch Ultra 2. Now, obviously, if you're an Android user, you don't have access to those. If you're an iPhone user, you don't have access to the Pixel Watch 2 either, vice versa. But the question, of course, remains, is the Pixel Watch 2 that device? Not quite. It's closer to the ideal than the original watch was, for sure, and most of what it does is very good indeed. But at the same time, while Google could only really make that Pixel Watch first impression the once, for its second outing, it's largely played it safe, improving where it needed to for sure, but not bringing the Pixel Watch and accompanying operating system quite all the way to what I would consider excellent. Now, that being said, if you've got an Android phone and you want a very good smartwatch, this is one of them. This is probably your best bet. I'm just a tad annoyed that there isn't that high-end equivalent watch out there, or at least there isn't one of those out there just yet. Let's get into it. So visually, Google's made basically no changes to the Pixel Watch 2's design. You're still looking at a round 41mm AMOLED display with a side-mounted dial and button. Same. It's actually a different material on your wrist though, with Google swapping out stainless steel for aluminium in the Pixel Watch 2. Now, that does make it marginally lighter if you throw it on a scale. Honestly, on your wrist, I've had this thing on and off my wrist for the last month, and you don't really notice it. It's not terribly noticeable. I know some people out there probably would have loved stainless steel. Others would prefer aluminium. Let me know what your thoughts are. The 41mm size will work well on most wrists, but it is a touch disappointing not to see a larger Pixel Watch 2 option for those who prefer a larger style watch. Both Apple and Samsung do offer that kind of sizing difference, but if you want a Pixel Watch, it's one size fits all or nothing at all. Here in Australia, you can get the Pixel Watch 2 in 4 different colour combinations in Australia, although it's really only 3 actual watch colour variants. The front's always black, because that's the screen. I mean, nobody wants bright silver or pink on their screen. While the rear colour is mostly visible at the sides, it's basically a bezel colour for most intents and purposes, in either polished silver, champagne gold, or matte black. Now, the models you can order are bay or porcelain bands with a silver body, obsidian bands with the matte black body, or champagne gold with the hazel band, which is the model that Google's loaned me for review. But of course, that's not the end of the colour story, however, because the Pixel Watch 2 supports the exact same bands as its predecessor. Same size watch, it makes sense. So on the plus side there, continued compatibility, obviously a nice feature to have. It does work with third-party bands too, although Google would prefer you purchased its official bands instead. I have tested this though, and it does work, again with that slightly fiddly nature of the way you have to actually swap bands out. Not a big fan of this, and I kind of wish they would have stolen some ideas from elsewhere about making bands easier to swap in and out. But I accept for some people they're just going to go with the band they get, and that's going to be the only thing they have on it. Be interested in your feedback on that one, actually. I'm going to be honest, I don't love the hazel colour. If I was buying this myself, I'd probably get the matte black and obsidian model, but it's serviceable enough. It's a decent enough band. I've run around in it. I've sweated on it a fair bit while I've been running. It's all held up pretty well. Now, while the external aspect of the Pixel Watch 2 hasn't really altered, that's not true of what lies underneath the glass. The Pixel Watch 2 runs on a quad-core Qualcomm processor. That's up from the dual-core processor that you found in the original Pixel Watch, which I never felt was super slow, but could certainly have done with a little bit of a kick, and that's definitely what it gets here. The claim here is that you get improved performance and improved battery life while allowing for an always-on display. And look, for the most part, it certainly felt a little faster, a little more responsive on the wrist after a month's testing. The improvements don't just stop, though, with processor speed, because it's also spotting improved health sensors covering things like heart rate tracking, skin temperature, and stress tracking to give you a better, wider picture of general health and exercise metrics. And this is all tied in, of course, to the fact that Google owns Fitbit. This is basically a very fancy, stylized Fitbit. And the Fitbit integration is an interesting one because obviously if you're coming from the Fitbit world, if you've got a Fitbit tracker and you want to jump up to the Pixel Watch 2, makes a lot of sense. You get to keep all your health metrics. Everything is tickety-boo there and it works quite nicely. And obviously Fitbit's actually a very nice little platform in and of itself. I like that side of it. What I'm less keen on though is that there are certain Fitbit features that only actually work if you've got a Fitbit Plus subscription. Now, with the Pixel Watch 2, you do get 6 months of Fitbit Premium for free. But, well, how do I put this? Well, for a start, you can get a 90-day trial of Fitbit Plus anyway. So you're really just getting another 90 days on top of the 90 days you'd be able to get for free. And once your 6 months are over, if you want features like advanced sleep tracking or your daily readiness score, which can be very handy, you've got to pay $14.99 a month for the privilege here in Australia, which adds up over time. And I kind of can't help but think, I get that subscriptions are where we're going with hardware. I get that some people don't mind that, and obviously I guess it's cheaper than a gym membership. But it still rankles with me that there are things that this watch can do, there are things that this software can do that are just being hidden behind a paywall because they can. Not massively, I feel, because it's chewing up huge computing resources for them to do that. That doesn't sit quite so well with me. Like its predecessor, you can also get the Pixel Watch 2 in an LTE configuration. In fact, the one on my wrist here is the LTE model, but my carrier and plan doesn't support that. Typically, though, these work reasonably well as long as we've got mobile signal, but here in Australia, certainly, you do have to pay extra each month to activate that on top of your existing mobile plan. Again, that's just a cost to bear in mind. And you certainly don't have to buy the LTE model. You can just go for the base Bluetooth plus Wi-Fi model. What about battery life? So the original Google Pixel Watch promised up to 24 hours of battery life. And look, I always found that this was really only an achievable figure if you left the always-on display set to switch itself off most of the time. The big promise for the Pixel Watch 2 is that this limitation basically no longer exists, and it's possible to leave time and notification displays active for a full day without needing to recharge the watch. Obviously, watch usage is variable. It depends on how much you're looking at it. If you're taking calls, if you're doing lots of app work, you can run it down a bit faster. But over the course of my testing period, yeah, it's generally true. This is easily the biggest upgrade for Pixel Watch year on year, that the battery life is so much better. Getting into a second day's usage is generally quite easy, even with the display always on. And obviously, if you wanted to stretch it that bit further, you can set it to switch itself off. This also makes additional features like sleep tracking a lot easier. I used to kind of worry, I'm actually going to have enough power to run my sleep tracking and then check that and then get out of the door in the morning without having the charger to hand. Now, I don't really need to fuss that quite as much. However, there is a charging change with the Pixel Watch 2, which I'm less of a fan of. So here's the Pixel Watch 2 charger. And the big change here is that they've gone from a wireless puck-style design to one that uses pogo pins. It's very Fitbit, for sure, but the issue there is that over time, these pogo pins can wear out, they can break, and it's a custom solution. I really, really wish they'd gone for Qi charging for this, but they haven't. And look, yes, you can buy these separately, but at $49 a pop, you probably don't want to have to buy too many of them. I sort of get why they did it, and their claim is that it does provide for a considerably stronger connection because it's actually magnetically clipped in. It is apparently a limitation of the way that they've put that new advanced heart rate sensor in there. There's not quite enough space for a magnetic charging coil. Still, it feels like a slight backward step to me. So should you buy it? Well, look, there's little doubting. The Pixel Watch 2 is a big improvement on the original Pixel Watch. That's commendable. Battery life is hugely improved, general performance is improved, and while I can't outright say that the heart rate sensor is doing a whole lot more on the original watch without being able to clone myself, maybe in triplicate so I can have a control Alex ready to go as well, it certainly managed my fitness and sleep metrics well during my review period. However, I can't help but feel that it's not quite as refined as it could have been. It would have been nice to see further size alternatives, as well as expanded Wear OS integrations and features that would mark it out from other Android wearables. I mean, this runs the same price, for example, here in Australia, as Samsung's Galaxy Watch 6. And if you're a Samsung owner, that feels like a smarter play to me than the Pixel Watch 2. While if you're a Pixel owner, you could pick and choose. And that to me is not what Pixel should be about. Pixel is meant to be the best of Android. It's meant to be Google saying, hey, we've got the dominant player advantage. We can make things for this that others don't have. And it just doesn't feel to me like they've gone down that path. They've just gone, yeah, the Pixel Watch was pretty good. Let's just make it a bit better. This is a bit better. This is a good smartwatch, but I wish it had been just a little bit more. Anyway, that's my take on the Google Pixel Watch 2. Got any thoughts? Let me know in the comments below. And as always, thanks for watching, and don't forget to hit like and hit subscribe.